been documenting our trip back to the United States here to switch out our visas. You guys know if you follow this channel what we're doing. We're switching out from VLST to VLSTS, which is they're both tourist long stay visas, but the TS is renewable. So here we go. So because we can then hopefully renew and stack years in France towards citizenship and that whole path, which is what we want. We're here in Miami, and you can check out the view I've got here. Sorry if there's any wind coming in because it's super windy today. Hanging out by this condo complex or whatever right on the water. Pretty sweet. It's definitely a great view. I'm sure these are not cheap, but yeah, so we're enjoying it. And I realized I hadn't really talked to you guys in a video yet, just kind of generally how it feels to be back. I know that people are interested about people who've been following our journey are just curious about this, and it's like, where are we at with it mentally, and how does it feel to be here? And so I'll just go over that real quick, just to let you know kind of where we're at. It's different this time because there's things that have changed, right? So we're in a maturity phase in France, right? Before, when we went back to California, to our home, our previous home, and that was different because we're going right back after we had just left 3 months before. We're still in the honeymoon phase at that point in June or July, whatever that was, in France. So it felt like it's like, I don't want to be here. I want to be back in France. And so there was almost like within 3 days, I was like, I want to be back in France. And so this time, because we're in a new city that it's kind of fun to visit and explore, that's changing a little bit because we're having a little adventure here in Miami, and that's cool. That's making it different. Plus, we're also in a more maturity phase where we're like we have a daughter in school. We're past the honeymoon phase, but we're still in it's fun, but it's a enriching, deepening experience that we're having in France in this phase where we're becoming parents of a child in school and having that life, and starting to get to know people better, and starting to just integrate more and more into the town of the city of Nice, and then just French culture in general. But still, I'm sure that I'm already missing speaking French. I know I'm missing speaking French because I just got off of a free mobile, the free wireless, free mobile, whatever they're called, customer service call. And it was like so awesome. The lady and I were like laughing by the end, and we were just having a nice conversation in French. And it was a good customer service experience in French, which is cool. And it felt good to speak because I miss it. I speak French all day long when I'm in France. I only speak English at home, and so I miss it. So I miss that. That's one thing. I miss our friends that are back there. I miss playing paddleball and all those things. But yeah, it's fun to be here. We are looking forward. The reason I'm excited to be here is my family. Like, that's really why I'm excited. Though it's been fun to check out Miami. I'm really excited to see my family in Florida. So that also, I wanted to share with you guys the experience at the VFS Global office. This is something that a lot of people have been talking to me about in comments and DMs about this experience. Of our initial visa that we got was done through VFS Global San Francisco. And I want to compare and contrast for those who are considering, either those who are already in France as expats or immigrants, or whatever word you want to use, or might be considering going to Miami as a VFS Global office, because it's like geographically the closest to amongst the closest. The Eastern Seaboard is the closest to Europe. So if you're in Europe and you're going back, or you're just whatever, you live somewhere near the state of Florida, you might be considering going to the VFS Global office. So I can only do a comparison and contrast between VFS San Francisco and Miami, but it was a stark difference. So let me just tell you, that experience was like night and day. And so the San Francisco office, I was expecting the Miami office to be huge, just like San Francisco. San Francisco is like a DMV. And there's just all the seats, and it's just tons of windows, and yeah, it's a bit of a factory. There's a lot of people in that room. And then there's like a giant room that I don't know, I didn't count it, but it's probably 100 people, which felt like a DMV. Very similar to the DMV in Florida here. Or the Florida one felt like a boutique experience. It's literally in a penthouse at the top of a building. And when you get there, they're like, oh yeah, we were waiting for you. Like, they knew our names, like the guard, everybody was really friendly. And it felt very like exclusive and private. And there was only one other person there, maybe two, the whole time we were there. And they weren't ever even in the room. We had the whole room to ourselves, the only room where the people are doing the processing. And the girl that was working with us, she was very knowledgeable. She scared us a little bit when we got there, because she's like, just so you know, she does all the disclaimers, the disclosures, like, because we were like telling her what visa we were going for, and she's like, "Oh well, they make that decision, not us. We can't guarantee you're going to get the TS, it's a T, and everything." We're like, I'm just like, I don't want to hear that because we're screwed if we don't get that one. But she's just like saying the truth, which is that, I mean, that's the way it is, and that's why, going back to my other video, you got to check that box that says more than a year, because if you check anything less than that, my feeling at this point is they will always give you the T, which is non-renewable. It's easier, really. I left the wind to get to a jackhammer. Yeah, it seems to me like the French consulate, embassy, whoever's processing it, they're going to just choose the T, which is easier to manage, and you just show up and it's like serves as your temporary residence card, versus the TS, which is going to be, you have to present yourself to the prefecture and you have to validate the visa when you get there, but it is renewable. So I think you have to do that, like we're going to be there for a long time thing, to even have a chance for them to say, okay, that's the one we're going to give you. So at this point, we just have to pray that is going to be the case. But after that, she was very thorough. I feel like, so what happened in San Francisco, and again, this is just like comparing one person, and I'm sure there's multiple agents in both places that handle French visas, but in San Francisco, we ended up having to go back and forth with them for things that they said we needed after. This, I'm hoping that's not going to happen. I feel very confident that won't happen with this one, because this girl was like over engineering it. She was like, gonna need this, should have this. She asked us for several things that we were never even asked for, that we never even gave to San Francisco, even after the back and forth that occurred by email after we left the interview, where they collect everything to then submit it and validate the application. So she was very thorough. So I feel much better about that. And the overall experience was much better. So I can highly recommend VFS Global Miami. Wind wise, I know there's no rain, but it feels like it's coming. It's no joke with the weather, bro. It's a bit extreme. I feel like I'm in a wind tunnel half the time. Anyway, that was a really good experience. Highly recommend that. And would definitely choose that experience over going back to San Francisco ever again. I would not choose to go back to San Francisco again. Cannot speak for any other offices and how they compare, but thumbs up for Miami. As a reminder, when you go there, just like every other office, you cannot bring your laptop in and you cannot bring your cell phone in. But what they do is there's like a waiting area. I had to be on my cell phone the entire time getting documents, extra things that she was asking for and whatever. Luckily, they were super cool about it. I was able to email them to her while she was over in the window with my daughter and my wife. I just had to go back out into the waiting area, look up whatever it was, email it to her, and then she printed it. And they were great about that. And she wasn't like rolling her eyes or frustrated or whatever. She took like lots of time with us. It took quite a while because of all this back and forth and all these extra documents. But so as far as the extra documents and things you might want to bring, so you just don't even have to deal with any of that, a letter that says, I am going to support my wife and daughter financially during the entire visa period. That's one that I had to do while. The second one was saying that I am going, for my minor child who's in school, going to provide a domicile for her during the entire time of the visa while she's there. Separate letter, signed, dated. Being trapped in Florida without a passport, not great.